gear people buy before their first trip is almost never the gear they swear by later. First-timers buy tents, sleeping bags, and a cooler. Then they go. Something goes wrong. Cold water, dead batteries, a meal cooked balanced on a rock, and they come home with a mental list. By the third trip, that list has turned into a shopping cart nobody warned them about. So here's the question this video is built around. What is the camping gear most beginners never hear about until their third trip? And is it actually worth the money? The camping market has pushed past $22 billion, and it's split hard between off-grid comfort and compact problem solvers. 20 items, honest verdicts. Let's find out which ones earn their place. Folding grill camping table. Your first trip, you cook on the ground. Your second, you balance a hot pan on a cooler lid and hope. By the third, you understand why this exists. It isn't exciting. It runs roughly $45 to $85. And it's one of the bulkier, heavier things you'll pack that alone tells you who it's for. Drive-up campers, absolutely. Backpackers, never. It's the piece that turns a pile of scattered gear into something resembling an actual kitchen, and that changes everything downstream. Portable electric lunchbox heater. Here's where a camping product quietly stops being a camping product. This one heats a meal from a power source, usually landing between $30 and $55, and most owners end up using it at work more than in the woods. That dual-use angle is exactly why it spreads so fast online. The catch worth stating plainly, it needs power. In a campsite with no electricity and no battery station, it's a lunch container. Useful, yes. Independent, no. Keep that dependency in mind. Portable camping. Hot shower, picture. Morning 3. You're stiff, cold, and slightly grim about your own smell. That moment is the single biggest reason people quit multi-day trips, and it's the exact problem this solves. Expect somewhere between $120 and $220, which makes it one of the more serious purchases here. It's also mechanically complex, with pumps and heating elements, meaning more parts that can fail. Worth it for families and long stays. Overkill for a single weekend. Inflatable LED camping lantern. The surprising part isn't the brightness, it's the packing. This thing lies completely flat, then inflates into a glowing cube or bar in about 3 seconds. $20 to $38, and it takes up almost no room in a bag. What most buyers don't anticipate is the quality of the lights, soft and diffused, rather than the harsh glare of a hard lantern, which matters enormously inside a tent at night. It's cheap, it's clever, and it's genuinely hard to argue against. Rechargeable LED flashlight. Let's be honest about this one. Nobody films an emotional video about a flashlight. It sits in the $18 to $35 range, and even the market data rates its excitement factor as middling at best. But that's the point. Boring gear is the gear you notice only when it's missing. At midnight, in the rain, looking for a tent peg. Rechargeable matters here because disposable batteries always die at the worst possible moment. Unglamorous, unavoidable, and the wrong place to cheap out. Cordless BBQ fire lighter. Most people assume lighter fluid is just how fire works. It isn't anymore. This tool blasts superheated air past 1100 degrees Fahrenheit and lights charcoal or firewood in under 60 seconds. No chemicals, no smoke, no chemical aftertaste in your food. $35 to $65. It's the kind of product that feels like a gimmick, right up until you watch it work once. Best for regular grillers and campfire cooks. Pointless if you camp twice a year. Portable water filter system. Here's where beginners get caught out. That clear-looking mountain stream is a gamble, and the confidence people have about water sources rarely survives one bad experience. A filter system runs about $25 to $48, weighs almost nothing, and turns murky water into something you can actually drink. Notably, it has one of the lowest return rates in this entire category. People buy it, use it, and keep it. That's the most honest endorsement any product can earn. Rechargeable LED headlamp. Now think about what the flashlight can't do. It can't chop vegetables. It can't pitch a tent in the dark. It can't restart a fire while holding kindling. At $15 to $30, a headlamp is the cheapest item on this list that fundamentally changes how you operate after sunset, simply by giving you both hands back. Experienced campers carry both, and they'll tell you the headlamp gets used 4 times as often. Buy it before the flashlight. Mini alcohol camping stove. Not everyone wants a kitchen. Some people want the opposite. This is the cheapest cooking solution here, roughly $12 to $25, and it's ultralight enough that you barely register it in a pack. Where the folding table and gas grill build a campsite outward, this strips it down to almost nothing. Ideal for solo hikers, minimalists, and emergency kits. Not ideal if you're cooking for 4 in wind in a hurry. Know which camper you actually are. 80 watts Bluetooth speaker. 80 watts is loud. That's the appeal, and it's also the warning. Priced between $80 and $150, these rugged speakers show up in every camping lifestyle video for good reason. Good sound genuinely transforms an evening around a fire. But campsites are shared spaces, and the difference between atmosphere and nuisance is about 3 notches on a volume dial. Great for remote sites and private land. Consider your neighbours everywhere else. Volume is a responsibility. Portable power station, 1,000 watt-hours. This is the big one in every sense. $500 to $900 puts it far beyond casual purchase territory. And a lithium battery this size is heavy enough that shipping it is a logistical headache. What it buys you is real independence, laptops, mini fridges, and critically, medical equipment like CPAP machines running off-grid for days. That last use case is why some people consider it non-negotiable. For a weekend camper though, it's an enormous amount of money. Portable shower privacy tent. Everyone remembers to research the shower. Almost nobody thinks about where they're going to stand while using it. This pop-up enclosure costs roughly $35 to $65, and it's frequently bundled with hot showers for exactly that reason. It also doubles as a changing room and a discreet toilet space, which quietly makes it more versatile than it first appears. The frame is wire and collapsible, so it packs down small. Cheap solution to an awkward, universally underestimated problem. Portable electric camping cooler. Ice is the enemy nobody names. It melts, it floods, and by day 2, your food is swimming. A compressor-driven electric cooler removes that problem entirely. No ice, no water, no soggy packaging. The trade is real. $180 to $400, plus serious weight and volume from the compressor itself. It also pairs naturally with the power station above, which is worth budgeting for. Brilliant for long trips with a vehicle, impractical for anything else. Portable gas camping grill. There's a romance to cooking over a fire that survives exactly until you're hungry. It's dark and the wood is damp. Gas removes the drama. At $65 to $130, these grills are built around metal housings, which means durability and weight in equal measure. Where the alcohol stove serves one person, this feeds a group. Best for families and reliable results. Not ideal if part of the appeal for you is the fire itself. Biodegradable camping wipes. The least impressive product here might be the one you use most. $10 to $20, and unlike everything else on this list, you'll buy them again and again. They handle the gap between no shower available and still human. One honest note, the reports describe them as biodegradable, but say nothing about how long that actually takes or under what conditions, so pack them out anyway. Editorial opinion, treat the label as a bonus, not permission. Lightweight folding camping chair. Ask anyone who's spent an evening sitting on a log. comfort isn't a luxury on a camping trip. It's the difference between staying up talking and going to bed at 8 because your back hurts. $35 to $75 gets you a lightweight folding chair, and this is a category where the cheapest option genuinely shows. Weak frames fail under real use. Spend slightly more than feels necessary. Your third trip self will understand why immediately. Portable camping sink. Nobody argues about who cooks. They argue about who washes up. A collapsible camping sink at $30 to $60 exists purely because dishwashing outdoors is miserable, crouching over a bucket, water everywhere, grease in the grass. It folds flat, sets up on a table, and turns a 15-minute ordeal into a 5-minute chore. It's the most unromantic item in this video, and one of the most consistently appreciated. Function beating fantasy, essentially. Portable mini air cooler. Fan heat inside a tent doesn't behave like heat outside one. It builds, it lingers, and it turns a $200 sleeping bag into an unusable oven by mid-afternoon. A misting air cooler fan costs about $22 to $42 and addresses a problem most first-time summer campers never anticipate. Be realistic about scale, though. A compact unit cools a small space, not a campsite. Right expectations, right product. Wrong expectations, and you'll feel cheated by physics. Outdoor mosquito fly trap. Ask people what ruined their first trip, and the answer is rarely rain. It's insects. UV-based traps run $25 to $50 and work by drawing bugs away from where you're sitting rather than swatting at them all night. They're equally popular with backyard homeowners, which tells you the problem isn't specific to wilderness at all. Best in still, humid conditions near standing water, less impactful in wind. Still, few purchases here protect an evening so directly. Survival paracord rope. We end with the cheapest thing on the list, $8 to $18. It has no battery, no app, no demonstration video worth filming, and experienced campers carry it every single time. Broken tent line, improvised clothesline, gear strapped to a roof rack. A shelter rigged in weather that arrived early. Paracord is the answer to problems you haven't imagined yet. That's precisely why beginners skip it and veterans never do. Buy it before you need it. So, why the third trip? Because the first teaches you that camping is harder than it looks. The second teaches you which specific part is hardest for you. And the third is when you finally stop buying what the catalogue suggests and start buying what your own experience demands. Look back at this list and a pattern emerges. The expensive items, the power station, the electric cooler, the hot shower, buy you comfort. The cheap ones, paracord, wipes, a headlamp, a filter, buy you competence. Most beginners overspend on the first category and skip the second entirely, then wonder why the trip still felt rough. Here's my question for you, and I'd genuinely like to read the answers. What's the one piece of gear you didn't buy until after something went wrong? Drop it in the comments, because that list is more useful to a new camper than any review ever written. Experience is the most expensive gear you'll ever buy. Everything else is just a shortcut. If this saved you a trip's worth of learning the hard way, hit like and subscribe, there's more coming.